The rain hammered the tin roof of St. Mary's like God's own judgment. Each drop a thunderous accusation against the boy curled on the back pew. Alex Thompson, 18 and shattered, clutched the worn Bible his mother had shoved into his hands not an hour before, her voice a venomous whisper. "You're no son of mine anymore." The church doors had slammed shut behind his parents' retreating silhouettes, leaving him in the dim sanctuary that once promised salvation but now felt like a tomb. In that suffocating silence, as lightning cracked the sky outside, Alex realized with bone-deep certainty that love, the kind he'd dared to dream of, might just be the sin that ended him. He didn't cry at first, not when the storm raged on, turning the world beyond the arched windows into a blurred watercolor of regret. Not when the clock tower chimed midnight, its bells mocking the emptiness echoing in his chest. Alex had always been the quiet one in Willow Creek, Kansas, the kid who fixed fences on the family farm without complaint, who volunteered at the county fair with a smile that hid the storm inside. But tonight that storm had broken free. His father's belt had left welts on his back earlier that evening, after the accidental discovery of a hidden journal page where Alex had scribbled confessions about the boy from the next town over. The one whose laugh made his heart stutter like a faulty engine. "Freak," his father had snarled, eyes wild with the fire of sermons he'd preached for decades. His mother, pale and trembling, had only nodded, clutching her cross necklace as if it could exorcise the devil she saw in her only child. By dawn, the rain had softened to a drizzle, and the church felt less like a prison, more like a forgotten relic. Alex's legs cramped from hours of stillness, but he couldn't move. What was there to move toward? The farm was poisoned now. Every creak of the floorboards a reminder of rejection. His phone, smashed under his father's boot, lay in pieces on the dirt road outside. He was adrift, a ghost in his own life, until the side door creaked open and footsteps echoed down the aisle, soft, deliberate, not the heavy tread of judgment. Eleanor Hayes, Maggie to everyone who knew her worth a damn, had come to light the altar candles before the early service, her routine as steady as the prairie winds. At 58, she was a widow twice over, her silver-streaked auburn hair tied in a loose bun, her floral blouse tucked into sensible khakis that spoke of long days tending the community garden. Maggie's husband had passed from cancer a decade back, and her only son, Tommy, had shipped off to the Marines and never looked back, leaving her with a hollow house on Elm Street and a heart that ached for the family she'd lost. She wasn't one for pity parties. Instead, she poured herself into the church's outreach, delivering meals to shut-ins and mending quilts for the needy. But this morning, as her flashlight beam swept the nave, it caught on the huddled figure in the shadows. "Lord have mercy," she murmured, freezing mid-step. The boy, young man, really, looked like he'd been carved from the same rough oak as the pews. Lean, unyielding, with shadows under his eyes that told stories she didn't yet know. His jacket was damp, clinging to shoulders that trembled not from cold, but from the weight of unspoken wars. Maggie's first instinct was maternal, fierce, and unbidden, the kind that had made her scoop up stray kittens as a girl and fight tooth and nail for her boy's future. She crossed the aisle in 3 strides, her sensible loafers silent on the stone floor. "Hey there, sugar," she said softly, kneeling to his level without a hint of condescension. Her voice was warm molasses, laced with the faint twang of Oklahoma roots she'd carried to Kansas 40 years ago. "You look like you've been wrestling demons all night. Name's Maggie. What's yours?" Alex flinched, his blue eyes snapping up like a cornered animal's. No one had spoken to him like that since. Well, ever. Not with kindness that didn't demand repentance first. "Alex," he managed, his throat raw as sandpaper. They left me here." The words tumbled out, jagged and unfiltered, the dam cracking under her steady gaze. He told her everything in halting bursts. The journal, the belt, the final ultimatum whispered over the kitchen table as thunder rolled in from the west. "I'm gay, Maggie. That's why. They said I was an abomination, that the church would fix me or nothing." Maggie's heart twisted, a familiar ache blooming in her chest. She'd seen this before, in the eyes of runaways at the shelter, in the quiet confessions of her quilting circle friends who'd buried their truths deep. But this boy, with his earnest face and calloused hands, stirred something deeper, an echo of Tommy, who she'd loved fiercely despite his rebellions, who she'd mourned not just for his absence, but for the bridges she couldn't rebuild. "Abomination," she repeated, the word tasting like ash on her tongue. She reached out, hesitating only a second before cupping his cheek, her thumb brushing away a tear track. "Darlin', that's their poison talkin', not God's truth. I see a son here, not a sin. And sons don't get left on benches like yesterday's trash." He searched her face, waiting for the catch, the sermon that would follow. But Maggie's eyes, crinkled at the corners from years of laughter and loss, held only resolve. She stood, offering her hand. "Come on, my truck's out front. We'll get you some coffee and pancakes at my place. No fixin' needed, just a hot meal and a soft bed." Alex took her hand, the warmth of it seeping into his chilled bones like sunlight after endless night. As they stepped into the misty morning, the church bells tolled again, not in mockery this time, but in quiet benediction. Willow Creek stretched before them, golden fields swaying under a clearing sky. And for the first time in hours, Alex felt the faint stir of possibility. Maggie Hayes wasn't family by blood, but in that moment, as she hummed an old hymn under her breath, she became his anchor in the storm. The drive to her bungalow was short, the radio crackling with static Y country tunes that Maggie sang along to off-key, her voice a bomb against the silence in Alex's head. Her home was a cozy chaos of knitted Afghans and framed photos, Tommy in fatigues, grinning from a foxhole. Her late husband, broad-shouldered and beaming at their wedding. Wildflower presses from summers long past. It smelled of cinnamon and fresh laundry, worlds away from the sterile piety of his parents' farmhouse. "Kitchen's this way," she said, flipping on lights that chased shadows from the corners. "Pancakes coming up. You like blueberries?" He nodded mutely, perched on a stool at the Formica counter, watching as she moved with efficient grace. Measuring flour, cracking eggs, her stories spilling out like ingredients into the bowl. Maggie told him about her life in snippets. Born in Tulsa, married young to a rancher who swept her off her feet at a barn dance, losing him to the bottle after the farm foreclosed. "Life's a series of leave-ins," she said, flipping the first golden cake onto a plate. "But it's the stay-ins that count. Tommy, he stayed long enough to teach me that." Alex poked at his food, appetite warring with a knot in his gut. "Why are you doing this? You don't know me." She slid into the stool across from him, her fork pausing mid-air. "Because I've been that boy on the bench, Alex. Not gay. Lord, no, but lost thinking I was beyond savant. After Carl drank himself gone, I sat in that same church, praying for a sign. And you know what? It came in the form of a stray dog scratching at the door. Sometimes grace shows up uninvited, with 4 legs or a broken heart." Her smile was wry, but her eyes shone with conviction. "You're welcome here as long as you need. No strings, no sermons. Just family, if you'll have it." The word hung between them, fragile as spun sugar. Family. Alex had never known it without conditions, without the shadow of expectation. Tears pricked his eyes again, but this time they fell hot and cleansing onto his plate. Maggie reached across, squeezing his hand. "Eat up, son. We got fences to mend, starting with yours." That first day blurred into a tentative rhythm. Maggie called in sick to the library where she shelved books, instead digging out old clothes from Tommy's trunk, flannel shirts a size too big, jeans that smelled faintly of cedar. They walked the neighborhood, her arm looped through his as she pointed out the Holt's rose bushes. "Don't let Mrs. Holt catch you deadheading," and the old mill by the creek, where I kissed Carl under the stars. Pure magic that. Alex listened, the normalcy of it all a lifeline pulling him from the abyss. By evening, as they sat on the porch swing with mugs of chamomile, the sunset painting the sky in hues of peach and lavender, he found himself talking. Not confessions, but fragments. The way the wind whispered through cornfields like secrets. How he'd always loved drawing, sketching faces in the margins of his textbooks. Faces that sometimes looked too much like the boys he passed in the halls. "You're an artist, then?" Maggie asked, her rocking gentle. "Was. Dad burned my sketchbook last night." The admission stung, but saying it aloud loosened something in his chest. She nodded, unsurprised. "Fires burn hot, but they don't take the spark. Tomorrow, we'll get you supplies. Art store in town, my treat." He looked at her, this woman with laugh lines like road maps to kindness, and felt a crack in the wall around his heart. "Thank you, Maggie. For seeing me. Always will, Alex. That's what mothers do." She said it casually, but the weight of it settled over him like a warm quilt. As stars pricked the deepening blue above, he leaned his head on her shoulder, and for the first time since the rain, sleep came easy. Weeks turned to months in that unassuming bungalow, the calendar flipping from summer's heat to autumn's crisp bite. Alex enrolled in community college online, Maggie's old laptop wheezing on the kitchen table as he studied graphic design, his fingers flying over keys to recreate the world his father had tried to erase. She watched him with quiet pride, slipping extra cash from her quilt sales into his textbook fund, never making a fuss. Their evenings were ritual, dinner debates over pot roast and politics. Maggie's liberal streak clashing delightfully with Alex's cautious optimism, followed by porch talks where fireflies danced like errant thoughts. But the past was a shadow that lengthened with the days. Nightmares woke him, sweat-soaked and gasping, the echo of his mother's prayer, "Deliver us from evil," twisting into accusations. Maggie would appear in the doorway, robe cinched tight, offering water and wisdom. "Ghosts only haunt if you let him in, son. Lock the door." One crisp October afternoon, as leaves swirled like confetti in the wind, Maggie announced a road trip. "Enough hiding in Willow Creek. We're heading to Kansas City, art exhibit downtown, and maybe a Royals game if you're up for it. Time to see the world's bigger than these fields." Alex hesitated, the city's pulse a siren call laced with fear. What if eyes lingered too long? What if whispers followed? But Maggie's grin was infectious, her packed cooler brimming with sandwiches and sass. "Trust me, adventure's the best medicine." The drive east unfolded like a revelation. Highways unfurling past amber waves of grain, radio stations shifting from twangy ballads to urban beats that made Alex's foot tap involuntarily. Kansas City greeted them with skyline sparkle, the Missouri River glinting under bridges like veins of silver. They wandered the Nelson Atkins Museum first, Alex's breath catching at the vast canvases. Monet's water lilies a riot of color that mirrored the chaos in his soul. This, he whispered, tracing air before a Rothko abstract. This is how it feels inside. Maggie squeezed his arm. Then paint it out, darling. Let the world see. That evening, at a bustling street fair in the Crossroads district, fate wove its next thread. Amid food trucks belching savory smoke and booths hawking handmade jewelry, Alex spotted him. Jordan Reyes, 20, with sun-kissed skin and curly black hair that framed a face lit by string lights. Jordan manned a stall of ceramic sculptures, delicate figures entwined in impossible poses, their forms fluid and unapologetic. He was laughing with a customer, his voice a melody of laughter and light, wearing a faded band tee and paint-splattered jeans that hugged his athletic build. Alex froze, heart slamming like a bass drum. Jordan's eyes, warm hazel flecked with gold, lifted, locking on us across the crowd. A smile bloomed, slow and knowing, as if he'd been waiting. Like the pieces? Jordan called, waving him over. Maggie, ever the nudge, propelled him forward with a conspiratorial wink. Go on, I'll grab us some tacos. Up close, Jordan smelled of clay and citrus, his handshake firm. I'm Jordan. You an artist? Try to be, Alex replied, voice steadier than he felt. They talked for an hour, sketches turning to sculptures, hidden pains to shared dreams. Jordan was a transfer student at the university, studying fine arts, originally from Albuquerque, where his Mexican-American family ran a pottery shop. Came here for the scene, he said, eyes crinkling, and maybe to breathe a little freer. The air between them crackled, electric as the fair's generators. When Maggie returned, tacos in hand, Jordan slipped Alex his number on a torn sketchpad page. Text me. We could collab sometime. As they drove home under a canopy of stars, Alex clutched the paper like a talisman. Maggie, I think I met someone. Her laugh was pure joy. Bedtime, so. Love's waiting, you just gotta show up. But shadows lingered. Back in Willow Creek, rumors slithered through town like smoke. The Thompson boy, shacked up with the widow Hayes, up to who knows what. Alex's parents avoided Maggie's pew at church, their glares sharp as shards. One Sunday, after service, his father cornered her in the narthex. You're harboring sin, Eleanor. That boy's poison. Maggie met his gaze unflinching, her voice steel wrapped in silk. Sin's what you did, leaving your blood on a bench. Alex is family now. Touch him, and you'll answer to more than God. Word spread, fractures deepening. Alex threw himself into art, his bedroom an explosion of canvases, stormy skies bleeding into rainbows, figures reaching through darkness toward light. Jordan's texts lit his phone, flirty memes, late-night voice notes about gallery openings. Building a bridge Alex crossed tentatively, each step a thrill laced with terror. Winter blanketed Kansas in white, muffling the world but amplifying the ache. Christmas Eve, Maggie strung lights on the bungalow's sagging porch, baking gingerbread men with lopsided grins. Alex helped, flour dusting his cheeks, but his mind wandered to Jordan's invitation, a New Year's party in the city. Bring your spark, artist boy. You should go, Maggie urged over eggnog, her eyes twinkling. Life's too short for what-ifs. He went, heart pounding as the bus deposited him in Kansas City's frosted glow. Jordan met him at the door of a loft apartment, pulling him into a hug that smelled of pine and possibility. The party swirled around them, queer friends in glittering scarves, indie music pulsing like a heartbeat. But Alex saw only Jordan smile, the way his hand brushed Alex's when passing a drink. They slipped away to the rooftop as midnight neared, city lights sprawling like a promise below. I've wanted this since the fair, Jordan murmured, his breath warm against Alex's ear. Their lips met under fireworks bursting in violet and gold, soft at first, then deepening with the hunger of starved souls. Alex's hands tangled in Jordan's curls, the kiss a revelation, tender, fierce, utterly right. I love you, Jordan whispered against his mouth, the words a spark in the cold night. Alex pulled back, eyes wide. Already. Feels like always. Jordan's thumb traced his jaw. You're safe with me. Back in Willow Creek, the idol cracked. A letter arrived from his mother, postmarked but unsigned. Repent, or you're dead to us forever. Alex crumpled it, but the poison seeped in, doubts whispering louder than ever. He confided in Maggie over breakfast, voice breaking. What they're right. What if I'm broken? She set down her coffee, taking both his hands. Broken things are where the light gets in, Alex. Remember that Rothko? All that beauty from the cracks. You're not broken. You're becoming. Emboldened, he invited Jordan for a weekend visit. Maggie prepared the guest room with fresh linens and her famous chili, greeting him with hugs and stories that had Jordan doubled over in laughter. The three of them fit like puzzle pieces, walks in the snow-crusted fields, Jordan's sculptures mingling with Alex's paintings on the walls. Nights, when Maggie retired, They stole moments in Alex's room. Kisses turning to caresses, bodies exploring with whispered reverence. Jordan's touch was a map to uncharted territories, erasing old scars with new grace. But the town watched. Whispers turned to stares at the diner, a slashed tire on Maggie's truck with Sodom scrawled in the rubber. Alex's father, emboldened by gossip, showed up at the bungalow one sleet-lashed night, Bible in hand, demanding his prodigal return. "You've poisoned him, woman," he bellowed through the door, fist pounding like Judgment Day. Alex stepped forward, Jordan at his side. Maggie is sentinel behind. "I'm not going back, Dad. I'm gay. I am loved. And that's not changing." The words hung in the frigid air, a declaration forged in fire. His father recoiled, face twisting in fury and, beneath it, grief. "You'll burn for this." "Then let me burn bright." Alex shot back, voice steady for the first time. The door slammed, tires spinning gravel into the night. In the aftermath, silence wrapped them like a shroud, broken only by Maggie's soft, "Proud of you, son." Spring thawed the fields, greening Willow Creek with tentative hope. Alex and Jordan's love deepened. Road trips to Albuquerque for family barbecues where Jordan's abuelita pinched Alex's cheeks and called him mi artista, gallery submissions that earned a joint exhibit in Kansas City. Maggie beamed from the front row at the opening, her quilt of rainbow patches draped over her lap like a banner. Yet the past clawed back. A phone call from his mother, voice quavering. "Your father's sick. Come home." For him. Alex wrestled the decision alone on the porch swing, the one that had held his tears that first night. Forgiveness or freedom? He chose both, driving to the farm with Maggie in the passenger seat, her presence a shield. His father lay frail in the bed, the fire in his eyes dimmed to embers. "Why'd you come?" he rasped. "Because you're still my dad," Alex said, throat tight. "Even if you couldn't see me." Tears tracked the old man's cheeks. "I was scared of losing you to something I didn't understand." Maggie spoke then, her hand on Alex's shoulder. "Understanding starts with seeing. He's your son, Harlan. Always was." In the quiet that followed, bridges mended. Not whole, but patched with possibility. His mother wept apologies in the kitchen, her cross necklace glinting like a truce flag. Summer solstice brought the exhibit's climax. Alex's centerpiece, a triptych titled Bench to Bloom. The church pew in storm, the kiss under fireworks, the family quilt unfurled in sunlight. Jordan's ceramics flanked it, intertwined forms symbolizing unity. Critics raved, but the true applause came from Maggie, tears shining as she hugged them both. "You did it, boys." Light through the cracks. As dusk fell over the gallery, Alex pulled Jordan aside, the city humming beyond the windows. "Marry me? Someday." Jordan's laugh was sunlight. "Yesterday, mi amor." Maggie joined them, linking arms. "To family," she toasted with champagne flutes. In the heartland's embrace, under a sky vast as forgiveness, Alex knew. Sins were illusions, sons were eternal. And love? It was the truest grace of all. The summer after the exhibit, Willow Creek transformed under relentless sun, cornstalks reaching like supplicants toward heaven. Alex's days blurred into a rhythm of creation and connection. Mornings sketching in the garden with Jordan, who visited every weekend, his truck loaded with clay and canvases. Afternoons helping Maggie at the library, shelving romance novels with dog-eared pages that mirrored their own unfolding story. Evenings were sacred, 3 of them around the dinner table, laughter weaving threads stronger than blood. But peace, Alex learned, was a fragile bloom, easily bruised. Jordan's visa loomed like a storm cloud. As an international student from Mexico on a temporary art scholarship, his time in Kansas City ticked down to months. "What if I have to go back?" he murmured one night, tangled in sheets, his head on Alex's chest. The loft's fan whirred overhead, stirring air heavy with their mingled breaths. Alex traced patterns on Jordan's back, heart clenching. "Then we fight it. Visas, green cards, whatever it takes. You're not leaving me." Jordan lifted his head, hazel eyes fierce. "Te amo, but family's pulling me home. Abuela's not getting younger." The word family echoed, a reminder of Alex's own fragile mending. Visits to the farm had become tentative olive branches. His father, weakened by chemo, shared stories of his youth, wild rides on horseback, dreams deferred for duty. His mother baked pies, her apologies baked into flaky crust hiding tears. It wasn't perfect. Slurs slipped in tense moments. Faith clashed with freedom. But progress inched forward like roots cracking stone. Maggie sensed the undercurrent, her intuition sharp as a quilter's needle. Over blackberry cobbler one Sunday, she broached it. "Boys, life's got a way of testing the seams. Jordan, you're welcome here permanent-like. Room's yours if need be." Jordan's grin lit the kitchen. "Tia Maggie, you'd have me? Family's what we make, not what we're born to." She winked at Alex. "And you, son, start thinking bigger. That exhibit, it was a door. Kick it wide." Inspired, Alex applied to a mentorship program in Chicago, a queer artist collective offering residencies. Acceptance came swift, a letter that smelled of ink and opportunity. 6 months, he told Jordan over video call, the distance already a preview of ache. We can do this. Jordan's face filled the screen, backlit by his family's adobe kitchen. Como siempre. I'll visit. And Abuela sends tamales. Don't eat 'em all without me. Chicago hit like a fever dream. Skyscrapers piercing clouds. Lake Michigan's vast blue mirroring Alex's expanding world. The residency loft buzzed with creators. Trans poets slamming verses. Lesbian filmmakers splicing reels. Non-binary sculptors hammering forms. Alex thrived, his work evolving. Series on inherited stains. Canvases where church spires bled into pride flags. Figures emerging from pews into embraces. Minter Elena Vasquez, a Chicana painter with a laugh like thunder, pulled no punches. Your pain's raw, mijo, but infuse it with joy. Let the lovers dance, not just survive. Nights, he FaceTimed Jordan and Maggie, their voices anchors in the urban roar. Maggie's updates grounded him. Farm's fencing held. Your dad's even a skin after your art. Jordan's were sparks. Submitted us for a joint show in Santa Fe. Road trip. But cracks widened. A gallery scout in Chicago eyed Alex solo, whispering of solo deals that sidelined Jordan ceramics. Focus on your voice, she urged. Guilt gnawed. Was ambition betrayal? Worse, whispers from Willow Creek resurfaced. A church elder, embittered by Alex's influence, circulated pamphlets. Sodom's shadow on our youth. His father's health dipped, blame arrowed home. A call from his mother, voice frayed. He's a skin for you, Alex. But the town's talking. Come before it's too late. He went, train rattling through heartland dusk. The farm smelled of hay and regret. His father a specter in the recliner. Oxygen tube snaking like accusation. Proud. Harlan croaked, gripping Alex's hand. Didn't say it enough. Your pictures. They're you. Brave. Tears blurred the room. I forgive you, Dad. For the belt. The bench. Harlan nodded, chest rattling. Love you, son. Gate or whatever. Just love. Maggie arrived with soup, her presence a balm. In the kitchen, she held Alex as sobs racked him. Keelan's messy, darling. But look, Roots hold on. Back in Chicago, reinvigorated, Alex poured forgiveness into paint. A portrait of his father, eyes softening from storm to sea. Jordan arrived for a surprise weekend. Their reunion ablaze. Kisses in alleyways, hands linked through galleries. Missed you. Jordan breathed, bodies aligning like lost stars. But the Scouts' offer crystallized. A solo retrospective in New York, 6 figures, but it meant dropping the joint Santa Fe show. It's your shot, Jordan said, voice steady but eyes shadowed. Take it. I'll cheer from the wings. Alex searched his face. We or nothing. Jordan pulled him close. We. They compromised. Scale back New York, amplify Santa Fe. The desert show was magic. Adobe walls glowing under sunset. Their pieces dialoguing. Alex's stains meeting Jordan's fluidity. A narrative of fracture and fusion. Critics called it a queer odyssey of the soul. Sales funded Jordan's visa appeal. A green card path unfolding. Fall brought Harlan's passing. Quiet in sleep. The farm a hush of mourners. Alex eulogized him at the graveside. Words weaving pain into peace. He saw me at the end. That's enough. His mother clung to him after, whispering stay. For me. I will, he promised. But on my terms. Maggie sold the bungalow, downsizing to a cottage near the farm. Her quilts now adorning Alex's Chicago studio. Time for new chapters, she said, packing boxes with Jordan's help. Winter solstice, under Chicago's twinkling tree. Alex knelt in Grant Park snow. Jordan Reyes, you saw me when I was invisible. Marry me. Make forever our canvas. Jordan's yes was a vow. Rings slipping on with desert sand, still clinging from their last trip. Maggie, via video, hooped from Kansas. My boys. Spring bloomed with weddings planned. A small affair in Santa Fe, blending cultures. Tamales beside cobbler. Abuelita's rosary beside Maggie's quilt. Alex's mother attended, tentative, but there, her hand in his during vows. Beautiful, she murmured, tears for the son reclaimed. As petals rained, Alex kissed Jordan, the world a palette of promise. Sins faded, sons endured, and in the weave of chosen family, light poured eternal. Yet even as vows echoed in the canyon winds of Santa Fe, shadows lingered at the edges, uninvited guests to the feast. Jordan's family embraced Alex with open arms, his abuelita pressing crucifixes into his palm with winks, uncles slapping backs over mezcal toasts, but the green card bureaucracy loomed, a faceless judge over their joy. Forms piled like unanswered prayers. Interviews scheduled, then canceled, fees draining their exhibit earnings. It's just paperwork, Jordan assured, but his smile strained, calls home to Mexico, laced with worry. Alex threw himself into the New York Compromise, a scaled show at a Midtown collective. His Inherited Stains series expanded with Jordan's input, ceramic accents bleeding color into canvas cracks. Prep was frenzy. Late nights in the studio, takeout containers stacking like modern art. Maggie visited, her cottage life suiting her, gardening with Alex's mother, unlikely allies over tea and confessions. She's trying, Maggie reported. Asked about your wedding colors. Purple and gold, Alex replied, grinning. For bruises turned to crowns. The opening night dazzled, gallery walls pulsing with their shared vision, patrons murmuring of raw intimacy. A collector snapped up the triptych for a sum that covered visa lawyers. Jordan, in a tailored vest that hugged his frame, whispered amid the crowd, "We're unstoppable." But unstoppable cracked under pressure. A week later, Jordan's interview went south, a stern officer probing intent, eyes narrowing at their engagement ring. Love marriages raise flags, the man said flatly. Denial followed, swift as a slap. Deportation proceedings initiated. Jordan shattered in the apartment, fists clenched against sobs. I can't lose you. Or them. Abuela's waiting, she's frail. Alex held him, fury boiling. We appeal. Fight. Maggie flew up, her no-nonsense calm a whirlwind. Lawyers are snakes, but we've got bite. Remember Harlan. Fought his demons to the end. They rallied. Petitions circulated online, queer networks amplifying their story. Alex painted rage. A massive mural for a pride center, figures chained yet unchaining, titles screaming bonds beyond borders. Jordan sculpted anchors, heavy and hopeful. Summer scorched Chicago, tempers flaring with heat. Arguments sparked. Alex pushing for a hasty Vegas wedding to bolster the case. Jordan resisting. Not like this. Rushed and desperate. Distance bred doubt. Jordan retreated to Mexico for Abuelita's birthday, leaving Alex adrift. Alone, ghosts resurfaced. A nightmare. The church bench, rain, his father's voice morphing to the officers. He woke gasping, calling Maggie at dawn. What if love's not enough? Her voice crackled through static. It is son, but it needs legs, fighting legs. Come home. Clear your head. Willow Creek welcomed him with fireflies and fireflies of memory. The farm, under his mother's stewardship, bloomed tentative. Vegetable patches she'd planted in his honor, tomatoes red as redemption. They talked for hours on the porch, her hands twisting a dish rag. I was blind, Alex. Feared losing you to hell. But hell was pushing you away. Forgiven, Mom, he said, meaning it. Truly. Maggie joined, her cottage a hub of strategy. Calls to senators, crowdfunding for appeals. Jordan returned tanned and torn. Abuelita's blessing a locket around his neck. Their reunion was fire. Apologies and touches, promises and whispers. Vegas. Jordan relented. For us. The chapel was neon kitsch, but their vows were velvet. In storms and stills. I choose you. Rings exchanged, papers stamped, a lifeline. Fall's appeal hearing was a battlefield, sterile room, lawyers jousting. Alex testified, voice breaking on the bench story, Maggie's letter read aloud. This boy's my son, sins be damned. Jordan's Abuelita videoed in, frail but fierce, amor no tien fronteras. The judge ruled days later, approved. Cheers erupted in the lawyer's office, tears flowing free. Winter wedding proper in Kansas. Farm barn strung with lights, quilts for pews. Families mingled, Mexican spices with Midwest pies, toasts bridging divides. Alex's mother danced with Abuelita, laughter healing old riffs. As snow dusted petals, Alex and Jordan swayed, Maggie's arm around them. To seams that hold. Light through cracks, eternal. The new year dawned crisp and unyielding, Chicago's winds howling promises of reinvention. With a green card secured, Jordan and Alex dove into a shared studio space in Pilsen, murals sprawling across brick walls like veins of their intertwined lives. Alex's solo elements wove with Jordan's forms, a bench sculpted in clay, etched with rainbow veins pulsing toward a painted horizon. Commissions flooded, pride posters for festivals, book covers for coming-out memoirs, their love a muse that paid bills and built bridges. Maggie, thriving in her cottage, hosted monthly family flies, as she dubbed them. Video calls where she'd wave pies at the camera, updating on Willow Creek's slow thaw. The church, under a new pastor's gentle hand, hosted a youth group for LGBTQ plus kids, Alex volunteering when home, sharing his bench tale as testament. His mother attended once, tentative, her presence a quiet victory. But Kitch Tin brewed in subtler storms. Jordan's past surfaced, a college ex, Diego, surfacing via email, heard about the wedding. Congrats, but you deserve better than a farm boy. Jealousy, irrational, gnawed Alex. Diego's Insta gleamed with globe-trotting glamour, sculptures in Paris lofts. Jordan laughed it off over ramen. Ghosts, mi amor. He's bitter. We ended messy. Yet doubt-seated. At a gallery mixer, a curator flirted shamelessly with Jordan, hand lingering on his arm. Alex seethed silent, later exploding in the cab home. Am I enough, or do you miss the chase? Jordan's eyes flashed hurt. Chase? This is home, Alex. You're my anchor. Words hung, apologies mending, but scars itching. Maggie sensed by a call. Storms pass, son. Talk it through. Love's not silent. They did, raw under studio lights. Fears of unworthiness, shadows of abandonment. Jordan confessed Abuelita's recent fall, guilt pulling him south. I need balance. Visits, not escapes. Alex nodded. Go. We'll build around it. Spring brought Santa Fe residency offers, dual, for them both. The desert called, red rocks echoing their roots. Alex's Kansas plains meeting Jordan's New Mexico heritage. They packed the truck, Maggie gifting a quilt stitched with their initials entwined. Abuelita's home enveloped them. Adobe warmth, chili roasting on comals. Alex learned pottery under her gnarled hands, forms rising like prayers. You make 'em shine, she told Jordan in Spanish, eyes twinkling. Evenings, they wandered canyons, hands linked, stars a canopy of confessions. I was scared, Alex admitted, wind whipping, of losing you to brighter lights. Jordan pulled him close. You my light, always. Back in Chicago, reinvigorated, they launched a workshop series, Art of Us, teaching queer youth to craft from pain. Sessions overflowed. Kids like young Theo, 16 and freshly out, sketching benches of their own. Summer heat wave tested. A major collector demanded Alex's solo piece, sans Jordan's touch. Pure vision, the email purred. Temptation whispered independence. He refused, quoting Elena, joy infused. The collector balked, but a smaller gallery embraced the duo, sales soaring. Fall harvest, they returned to Willow Creek for Maggie's birthday, 59, feisty as ever. The farm feast brimmed. His mother's pies, Abuelita's empanadas via shipped care, laughter drowning old echoes. Night, under harvest moon, Alex proposed expansion. A foundation, bench to bloom, funding art for outcasts. Jordan's yes sealed it, kissed sealing souls. Winter's first snow, they broke ground symbolically, planting a tree in the churchyard, roots for the future. Maggie officiated, voice thick, from benches to branches you grew. As flakes danced, Alex whispered to Jordan, forever's just starting. Love's weave, unbreakable. Yet forever's thread frayed under unforeseen strain. The Foundation's launch gala in Kansas City drew crowds, donors in tuxes, youth artists beaming. But a heckler from Willow Creek's old guard crashed, megaphone blaring, perverted propaganda. Repent. Security escorted him out, but the venom lingered, viral clips twisting their mission. Funding dipped, whispers of boycotts rippling. Alex's mother called, voice quavering, town's dividend again. Your dad's grave. They're leaving stones of hate. Rage boiled. Alex drove home, Jordan trailing. The cemetery was desecrated, graffiti on headstones, sinners rest. His father's marker smeared with slurs. Kneeling in mud, Alex scrubbed, tears mixing with rain. Why can't they let go? Jordan held him. Because change scares. But we don't stop. Maggie rallied the community. A vigil at the church, candles flickering defiance. The new pastor spoke, love thy neighbor, as son, not sin. His mother stood beside, voice steady, my boy's light. Hate dims none. The vigil swelled, townies crossing lines. Apologies murmured in firelight. Funding rebounded, stronger. But personal tempests brewed. Jordan's abuelita worsened, pneumonia gripping her lungs. He flew south, Alex joining days later. The sick room smelled of herbs and sorrow, her hand frail in his. Mis amores, she rasped, blessing their rings. She passed at dawn, desert sun rising like benediction. Grief hollowed Jordan, silence his shroud. Back in Chicago, he withdrew, studio, dusk gathering. What's the point? He muttered over untouched clay. Alex's heart ached. The point's her legacy, us, creating. Therapy sessions followed, Maggie's urging. Grief's a guest, not landlord. Jordan opened, tears carving paths. She saw our love before we did. I miss her fire. Alex painted memorials. Abuelita's hands shaping stars, exhibited in Albuquerque. Opening night, family gathered, tears turning to toasts. She'd be proud, an uncle said. Healing deepened their bond. Nights raw with need, days collaborative fire. The foundation expanded, chapters in Mexico City, Albuquerque. Spring scandal struck. A board member, conservative plant, leaked mismanagement rumors. Press hounded. Alex facing cameras. We're transparent. Art for the abandoned. Investigation cleared them, but trust scarred. They restructured. Maggie joining the board, her quilts auctioned for funds. Summer wedding anniversary. Desert vow renewal. Abuelita's locket shared. Under stars, Jordan whispered, you saved me. We saved each other. Fall brought triumph. A national grant. Youth centers blooming. Willow Creeks opened in the old mill. Alex cutting ribbon with his mother. Winter solstice. Foundation gala anew. No hecklers, only hope. Maggie danced with Jordan, Alex watching, full. From bench to bloom, roots eternal. Crisis crested, unbidden, a wave crashing their idol. During a foundation tour in New York, workshops in Brooklyn lofts, murals on Harlem walls, Alex collapsed mid-presentation. Dizziness blurred the room, paramedics swarming. Diagnosis: exhaustion compounded by a heart murmur, hereditary from his father's side. Stress aggravated, the doctor said. Slow down, or it stops. Hospital sterile, Jordan's hand vice grip. You pushed too hard. Guilt choked Alex. For us. For them. Maggie flew in, fussing with blankets. Rest not weakness, son. It's wisdom. Recovery sidelined him. Bed rest in Chicago. Jordan canceling gigs to nurse. Resentment simmered, unspoken. Jordan's canceled Santa Fe solo. Resentment mirroring Alex's old doubts. I get it, Jordan snapped one night, pacing. Foundation's your baby. But I'm drowning too. Words wounded. Silence followed. Maggie mediated via call. Storms rage. Anchor together. They sought couples counseling, sessions peeling layers. Jordan's grief-fueled fear of loss. Alex's abandonment scars driving overachievement. I build to prove worthy, Alex confessed. Jordan's eyes softened. You are. Always. Reconciliation bloomed, tentative. Date nights sans foundation talk. Pottery wheels spinning side by side. Health stabilized with meds and mindfulness. Alex's art shifting. Gentler strokes, self-portraits serene. Summer healed further. Retreat to Willow Creek, farm rhythms restorative. His mother taught canning, jars sealing like promises. You look stronger, she said. Forgiveness helps. Fall tour resumed, scaled. Jordan leading, Alex advising. Youth testimonials poured. Theo's gallery show, inspired by their workshop. But external gales howled. A far-right group targeted the foundation. Protests at events, doxing emails flooding. Threats escalated. Slashed tires. Anonymous calls hissing, watch your back, sinner. Fear coiled. Alex hesitated expansions. Jordan pushed, hiding feeds them. Shine brighter. Maggie echoed. Harlan faced his darkness. You face yours. They fortified, security, legal shields, counter-campaigns of stories, youth videos declaring seen, not sin. Climax brewed at national conference in D.C. Keynote slot, prime for attack. Protesters massed outside, chants thundering. Inside, Alex took the stage, voice steady. I was left on a bench for loving who I love. But a woman saw a son. Tonight, see yours. Slides rolled. Benches to blooms, faces transformed. Silence, then thunderous applause. Protesters dispersed. One, a father's, approaching post-talk. My boys like you. Thank you. Winter victory. Foundation grants tripled, chapters global. Personal milestone. Alex's murmur surgery, minor, but monumental. Jordan held his hand pre-op. Through this, always. Recovery intimate. Maggie's soups shipped, mother's cards. Art resumed, collaborative. A series, vital veins, hearts pulsing color. Spring anniversary. Canyon hike. Vows renewed amid wildflowers. To pulses synced. Summer gala. Record funds. Youth orchestra playing anthems. Maggie toasted. From one bench, a world. Fall exhibit. Anchors away. Their love's journey. Critics hailed triumph of tenderness. As leaves turned, Alex reflected. Crises carved, but love endured. Suns risen, sins dissolved. Resolution rippled like dawn over prairies, steady and sure. With health mended and threats quelled, the foundation, now Seen Sons Collective, anchor communities worldwide. Art havens in rural Kansas's, urban lofts in Mexico City. Alex and Jordan balanced legacy with life. Rotating residencies, Chicago winters for grit, Santa Fe summers for soul. Maggie's cottage became a pilgrimage site. Her quilt's museum pieces, stories spun to visitors, started with pancakes and a prayer. At 70, she mintered board, her twang a rallying cry. Alex's mother evolved, volunteering at the Creek Center, her Bible studies inclusive, cross-embracing rainbows. Redemption's a two-way, she told Alex over coffee. Yurstaujahash mina. Anniversaries marked milestones. Third year, a child discussed. Adoption dreams whispered. A little one to pass the light, Jordan mused, fingers tracing Alex's ring. They pursued, paperwork a familiar foe, but foe conquered. Winter brought match, Eli, 5, wide-eyed from foster chaos, curly hair a echo of Jordan's. Homecoming chaotic, paint splatters, bedtime stories of benches, turn beds. Eli's laughter-filled lofts, questions probing. Daddy Alex, why rainbows? Because love's every color, Alex replied, heartful. Maggie babysat, spoiling with cookies. Third chance at grand, blessings multiply. Challenges lingered gentle. Eli's nightmares, integration hiccups. But family wove tighter. Abuelita's locket on tiny neck, farm visits with Abuelita's recipes. 10th anniversary dawned golden. Gala retrospective, from bench to legacy. Attendees spanned. Theo's murals, his mother's quilts, Eli's finger paint pride. Keynote, Alex with Jordan and Eli flanking. A woman saw a son, not sin. You see yours. Build from there. Thunderous ovation. Tears communal. Post-gala, desert drive. Stars witnessing private vows. To Sparks, eternal. Maggie joined, arm linked, my boys in bonus. Light's legacy. Years folded. Eli's first exhibit at 12, sculptures dancing. Collective global, chapters in 50 lands. Twilight porch, Alex graying, Jordan silvered, Maggie ancient oak. Worth the storm? Every drop, they chorused. In Heartland hush, sin's myths, sun's truths. Love's bloom, unending.